signed that letter
Oh, very
for
good.
the DNR.
She's going to try and call in.
I figured it's Halloween. It's my one chance a year I can wear
You're
this.
doing it.
Oh, shit.
It's my Halloween, ode to Halloween shirt
There you
today.
go.
Nice. That looks like you'd be comfortable on a cruise ship as well.
I may have worn it.
Reasonable. Yeah. We're rolling whenever you're ready, Commissioner.
All right. Thank you, John. We'd like to welcome everybody to our Iron County Commission meeting this Monday, the 27th day of October, 2025. It's cooling off out there. We will begin our meeting this morning with a word of prayer offered by Brennan Wood. And following his prayer, we'll have Lori Eichelberger lead us in the pledge.
Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we come to Thee this day and thank Thee for all of our many blessings. We're thankful for the community in which we live and for those that are willing to serve and to help out our residents. Father, this time we ask You to please bless us during this meeting, that we'll be able to think of those that are in need and those that live in this region. And we say these things in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. We need to approve the minutes of October 13th. So is there any discussion on the minutes?
No.
No.
Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from October 13th, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we need to approve the the warrants, pay the bills from October 13th, 2025 through October 26th, 2025.
I will move to approve the claims for payment from October 13th, 2025 to October 26th, 2025.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We'll start with our departmental reports, and we'll start with our attorney, Chad Dodson.
Morning.
Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Give me 2 seconds.
One of the first things I was doing this morning was, this will be Nick's first report, commission as director of the CJC, and I needed to make sure he knew a valuable lesson. That is, if you show up too early to county commission meeting, you will be asked to pray.
That's the penalty. Or opportunity.
He is more than willing, though. He said that in the future, he's
Available.
he's all for it, so.
Sounds like he's been voluntold.
No. I'm just going through an update with the county attorney's office. We are under budget. In my last sit down with Luke, and no concerns there that we'll have budget issues. I think we'll be well under this year. Fully staffed for the first time in a long time. We have our newest attorney. He started in September. He's been getting up to speed. Joe Sheahay, he's, of course, our retired JAG officer, and I think he's going to be a huge asset to the office, a lot of experience, and brings some maturity to the office because he's the old man now in the office. As of Friday, we have reviewed 1,737 cases for criminal prosecution. We have 115 civil assignments that Sam keeps track of. 668 cases filed in the district court, 709 in the justice court, 76 in our juvenile delinquency cases. Then there's a breakdown of kind of the trends of different cases that I like to highlight, as I usually do. Nothing too exciting or jumping out or differences there. We are seeing about 242 cases more from this time than last year. So I think it will continue to see higher caseload, but it does go up and down. But the trend has been that we're seeing more cases. We've had several jury trials. I wanted to highlight some things. We had a child sex abuse case, Robert Hart. Many of you recognize that name. He was an inmate that was very expensive for a while. He's been convicted and sent to the prison. Isaac Wall was a case. He's been convicted of a first-degree felony. There's a habitual violent offender statute in Utah, which has been very helpful for those who qualify. They repeatedly commit violent felonies, and this individual fell within that category. He's been convicted of a first-degree felony. He kidnapped his wife, strangled her with a blanket, put a pillow over her face. He was on parole while he did this, meaning he had been previously sent to prison, but then was paroled in the community again and committed this new offense. So we're hoping that he'll spend a substantial amount of time in the prison and out of our community. In the Kaylee Dutton homicide case, the shooter and driver in those cases have been sentenced to prison, and there's one more co-defendant remaining in that case, but those have been successfully concluding, which is good. That's been a challenging case, heartbreaking case. We did have a jury trial 2 weeks ago. It ended up going 4 days, and it ended up in a not guilty verdict. It was a really tough case, as all sex offenses are. Those are by far the most difficult cases to prosecute. You have allegations, disclosures, and then sometimes you don't have the corroborating evidence that you would like. And so those are difficult cases. This was one that we did feel was righteous and that we could take before a jury, and that an Iron County jury could convict. But ultimately, some of them came back and talked to the prosecutors, which is rare. Sometimes juries will just want to get out of there. 7 of the 8 stayed back and talked to the prosecutors and gave them some good feedback. And one of the things was they just felt like there needed to be more evidence. But that was a tough case, but you learn a lot of lessons from the losses as well. One of our new prosecutors got a lot of good experience, did the closing argument in that case, and I think that going forward, that's a good lesson for prosecutors, investigators, our multidisciplinary team, the CJC. I think it'll be invaluable. So we are human. We don't always bat 1,000, but that was a case that we still stand behind. It's righteous and worthy of taking it to a jury trial. Outside of that, any questions?
How many jury trials do you have typically?
So this year we've had 5 so far. We may have one more by the end of the year, but we usually average about 4 or 5 a year. And
For any offenses, or is that
those are typically jury trials. So throughout the year we have multiple.
for all reasons that they're
Right. Yeah, it could be protective order violation, sex offenses, burglary, any kind of cases in the district court. Throughout the year, we do have multiple bench trials where it's just before a judge. In the justice court, that's very common. District court on misdemeanor offenses, it'll just be before the judge. So it's a trial, but not in front of a jury. So we don't track those as closely, but we do have multiple bench trials where you're putting the evidence on for the judge rather than a jury. But jury trials, that's where we're at so far this year.
Of the caseload that you have presented here, how much of that would you say is related to a girls' or boys' home out in the county?
That is, I don't have that figure for you, but that's something that even talking with Nick that we need to start tracking. We get a substantial number. I can get that for you.
Wonder if we could keep that separate so we just get a real picture of.
I think that that's going to be something we need to highlight. Both group homes and then Chrysalis is been something that comes across
Business
our desk.
types that are bringing
Right. Yeah.
an element into the county that's not necessarily county-based.
Correct. Yeah, these are places where they're providing a service. They're bringing in people from outside, whether it be sex offender treatment or troubled youth or adult care facilities. But there's a lot of those that take up a lot of resources, not only just for calls of service for law enforcement,
Right.
but we're getting a lot of them for prosecution. And our multidisciplinary team at the CJC, a lot of interviews are taking place in that category too. And I think, and maybe Nick has a figure, but he's been tracking that. Is it in the 25%? So nearly a quarter of the interviews are from some of these facilities, which is substantial.
Would that be hard for you to break out to show
No.
us what?
I don't think so. I think we could do it, and I think it's something that we've talked about just broader with a lot of the different agencies and law enforcement, sheriffs and chiefs of police. That's something that's been a cause of concern and maybe something we need to start putting out to the public just so they're aware
Right.
of what these businesses, these group homes are doing. So.
Hey,
I
just a
think that-
thought. In Spillman, there's a circumstance code. Anytime that you respond to one of those, would you mind shooting an email out to all the law enforcement agencies and just remind them to make sure if they respond to those that they make sure that that circumstance code is in there?
So it's a circumstance code that addresses if it's a group home?
Yeah, and I don't remember what it is. I don't remember the code, but it's in there, just in the circumstance codes. There's a group home. It's been there for years, but that makes it super easy to track on the law enforcement side.
Yeah. And that number is going to be a lot higher than even the number that come for prosecution because they're dealing with
Right.
them a lot. Maybe it doesn't rise to
prosecution,
charges.
Yeah.
but yeah, so I'll see if we can get a report from Spillman.
Yeah, 'cause it's in there. I just I don't ever. I mean, we have one facility in Parowan that we don't go to very much anymore.
Yeah,
It's kind of worked itself out over there, but
good.
I hope the other agencies are using it because it just makes it really easy to track.
Okay, no, it's good to know.
I think that data would give the commissioners cause if you ever wanted to change, conditional use permits and allowances under table of uses,
Right.
because that's really where your teeth lie.
Yeah,
So is Spillman
It's the law enforcement. It's the law enforcement software that we all use.
a
In
software? That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's
Software, okay.
it's a software, and all the agencies in Iron County use it. So
Yeah.
and anybody could track that. Like I could go in and pull those reports for every agency. Like everybody has full access
Yeah,
to
that'd be great.
look those up. But
Yeah,
yeah, there is a circumstance code in there that's if everybody's using that every time they go on one, that'd be super easy to track.
no, I'll make sure that we remind everybody. If hopefully they are, but maybe if they're
Yeah.
not, that we'll get a better.
I would
more accurate
assume that
number.
they are, but I don't know.
No, that'll be- but that has been a topic of discussion. Cause for concern with a lot of the agencies because it does take a lot of resources and time. Anything else? Okay, appreciate you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, Nick Hewlett.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
One of the things a good attorney should know is that if you don't have the last word, you might want to be careful what you're offering for other people to do. So, thank goodness I have the last word, I guess. So. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we're similar to Chad. We're on track as far as our budget and everything like that goes. We're primarily funded by 2 grants, and we're within ranges with all those things. So we're a little overspent with our salaries and benefits for the first quarter, but it's a little bit longer. There's one more pay period on there than with the other billing periods. So during the first quarter of this grant cycle, so our grant cycle starts in July. We had 89 interviews during that time, 12 medical examinations. October has continued to be almost as busy. We've had 22 interviews just this month so far. We're averaging about 24 interviews per month this year. Between 2021 and 2024, the CJC averaged about 18.6 interviews per month. So we're up significantly over that. We're on pace to have about over 300 interviews for this year. So in 2024, we had less than that, 266 interviews in 2024. So we've seen a huge increase. When we're looking at reasons why that might be the case, we talked about I talked about with Mike as well, and we're going to be talking about that in our advisory meeting. That the group homes might have something to play with that. We looked at the percent of increase as far as the population goes, and just to see if it's on par with just that growth. But we're seeing about, from what I could find, about a 2% population increase annually, and we're looking at a significant increase, way more than that. So with our numbers as far as that goes over year. So just kind of trying to look and see. I also think part of that has to do with the fact that our community is really good at reporting things, really looking out for kids and things like that. And so that might be just part of why our numbers are a little bit higher as well. We've got really great working relationships with our MDT team and everything. So many of our clients are taking advantage of the therapeutic services that we offer as well. We've seen a number of sessions that they've taken advantage of in the last 4 quarters have gone from 30 to 49 to 144, and then last quarter we paid for 166 sessions for clients that were able to get some mental health services as a result of the grant that we have. So submitting our quarter 1 reports this week. Everything's looking good. And then the last thing I just wanted to bring up is just that we've had, like I said, an amazing community. In the last month, we've had either in-kind or financial contributions from the Levitt Group, Mountain America Credit Union, Clearway Energy, Fiddler's Canyon, and Willowwood Ward's Activity Days. They brought some quilts and blankets over for us. Quilts for Kids, St. Jude's Episcopal Church. And then there was a middle school that challenged their kids to do some service, and so we just had some random kids show up with some blankets and stuff like that. So it's always great to be able to be supported by the community. So take any questions.
No, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Lori, Justice Court.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Let me just start with the staffing. We were just able to bring on a new judicial assistant, Jenny Bettish. She's doing a good job. She's been with us 2 weeks, and we appreciate her. We did have a turnover in August. 20-year employee left and retired, and that created an opportunity to promote one of our ladies, Lori Neighbors, that had been with us going 10 years actually, into the senior judicial assistant position, and she's doing a very good job. Want to tell my staff, if they're listening, how much I appreciate them. The last couple of months have you know, when you're short-staffed and you have someone with a lot of experience leave, there's a lot that everybody else has to jump in and learn and do, and everybody's just done a wonderful job, and I appreciate them very much. Looking forward to the budget. Oh, I did want to mention, though, that, you know, we have held the one position from last January, and it's my intent to hire that after our new person's been on board 3 to 6 months. We learned our lesson last year, brought 3 people in at one time, and that was, that was not a good move by yours truly. So you live and you learn, and getting the individuals trained and up to speed before we bring someone else in. And the business has picked up enough business. Unfortunately, our business is busy. So looking into the budget, we are under budget so far, and I'm running this through September. I kind of come to you on a quarterly basis, so through September 30th. That next sheet is the one that I always prepare with just a comparison of the year before. DUIs just slightly up, 3. The impaired driving down, and that's, Chad could probably speak better to that. That's not something that's cited. That's something that's handled on the prosecution end, where there might be a reduction of a DUI. Moving violations up this year, 362 over this time frame last year. Assaults are down, thefts are down, controlled substance is up, and domestic violence is up, a fairly significant figure. And then if you look down to the bottom, we've got the revenues, and I always preface this with, we're not supposed to be, a revenue generating department, but the reality is that we do. And this year, we've collected about 41,000 more over the year before. That dispersed is what's based on the surcharges and what goes to the state. And the retention, we've retained about 18,000 more than we did the year before. And last but not least is that citation comparison report that I provide you with, and I send that to all the LEAs and to our prosecutors every month. That is all I have, and if you have questions for me.
No.
No, you never do.
You just come in and kind of lay it out, and it's
Okay, well then that's
it
good.
is, it is what it is. And,
Yeah.
you do a great job.
Thank
UHP
you.
is way up, aren't they?
What was that?
UHP was way up in 24, weren't they?
Yeah, and that was interesting because I see HP just went to Tyler Technologies. So Commissioner Blake was talking about how everybody's on Spillman, and I don't know. I don't know why they don't go to Spillman.
I don't either. And they have access, but they don't. I mean, they have access because, well, they have access, but that's not their primary, which is, I mean, they went from Fat Pot to Tyler.
Right.
I don't know.
So the significance of that is that Tyler, as they transitioned to that, I think they just absolutely had to leave Fat Pot, right?
I don't know. All I know is they hate Tyler. Apparently, it's
been challenging.
It's just a learning curve.
So
just the guys
we
I
had
talked to at work, but
the AOC, all of us. I mean, I don't know how many citations we had that just were not filing, and so they ended up filing a month, even further out late. And it was something that had to be worked out and ironed out within Tyler Technologies, and they had all of their IT techs, on board, and this was happening throughout the state. So if we had 50 cases that we were waiting to file, and that's problematic, then if you figure that based on every court in the state, it had to be a nightmare for them.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So SU, so they go 22, 207, 23, 404, 224, 617, like boom, boom, boom. Is that because they have more of a force?
No, I
They
think
hired
it's because
somebody
they've got a
else,
ticket
or-
writer.
They got a ticket writer.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
got the guy,
Hill.
is it Hill. Hill was the traffic officer in Cedar PD. He went over to SUU.
I'm not saying how I know, but I've met him.
Officer Hill is a pretty prolific ticket writer.
Yeah, I mean,
It's kind of rough.
you know, and even with the sheriffs, you know, we have. I mean, that's
That's
they.
why Cedar City's down and they're up.
Yeah, you get people that are solely focused on the traffic, and yeah, and you know, the interesting thing with SUU is from a revenue standpoint, they get everything. Yeah.
Yeah. they
So
don't-
I
they
mean,
don't-
it's
no disbursement
so
there.
I mean, if you're prosecuting for them, you're basically prosecuting for free. The city's prosecuting for them, so. Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
Okay,
Lori,
appreciate it.
All right, Victim
Thanks, Lori.
Advocate.
You made it, Jaden. So you weren't even late. Jaden texted, "I'm running late."
Sorry, I had a
It
couple
really wasn't.
clients that reached out and had a couple things that needed to be handled this morning, so that kind of delayed me getting here. This last quarter, we've served a total of 196 clients from July to September. That's an increase from 148 the previous quarter. 16 of those had more than one victimization, meaning either they've had one and then later on they had one, or another case, or there was multiple things in one incident that we had to deal with. Of those 196 clients, the most common victimizations were domestic violence, child sexual assault, and adult sexual assault. I mentioned this in our budget hearing, but we had our site visit from the Utah Office for Victims of Crime this last month. We also had a grant audit. No issues were found there. They applauded our program for good record keeping as well as effective delivery of services. So we're pretty proud of that. So far, our budget is on track. We did need new tires for one of our vehicles. So that kind of put our vehicle operations budget out of whack, but we do have a pretty good excess in fuel that Luke is keeping an eye on, and we'll transfer money at the end of there. But otherwise, our budget's looking good all around. Couple of spotlights that I just wanted to share from recent cases. We had a case where a lady was the victim of a domestic violence assault. Her partner took off with her car and her wallet, drained her bank account, so she had no money. We ended up getting involved at that point after officers had called us, and were able to help her kind of figure some things out for the next few days. The vehicle was located in Colorado, so we were able to use some of our emergency funds to get her to Colorado and get her car out of the towing yard and get it back to Cedar City. She's a home health nurse, and so her car is crucial to being able to work. So we were thankfully able to use some of that to help her get back so she could get back on her feet and working and do some of those things. Used a good chunk of our emergency funds budget, but we got an increase in our grant, and we're thankful we did because we used about all the increase that we requested. So another thing, Savannah Gardner is our advocate that's housed out of Cedar City Police. She, along with one of our other deputies, received a Hero Award from Canyon Creek Services. I just wanted to read this. This is what they read at the banquet that night. It says, Savannah is a victim advocate who goes above and beyond to make sure survivors receive the comprehensive support they deserve. She approaches her work with patience, warmth, and a trauma-informed lens, always meeting survivors where they are, treating them with dignity and respect, and offering support free of judgment. Savannah works hand in hand with our team of advocates, always ready to transport clients, answer clarifying questions, and collaborating to remove barriers in the survivor's journey. Her willingness to step in wherever she is needed, whether it's making magic happen behind the scenes or standing beside a survivor in their most difficult moments, has left a lasting mark on countless lives. So I was able to be there to watch her receive that award a couple weeks ago, I think. So we're pretty proud of her and what she's doing out of the Cedar City office, and is obviously being recognized by community partners. So that's all I got. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I don't. Again, just super appreciative of what you guys do.
We appreciate you guys and supporting
Yeah,
us.
I remember law enforcement before we had victims advocates, and after's way better.
Yeah, we've had several people that'll tell us that, and we've pretty much taken the load to intercept some of those phone calls and basic needs away from mainly detectives. But so it's been a huge benefit for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
All right, let's see, where are we at? Brennan? Yeah, Brennan, SWATEC.
Thank you, sir.
A little thicker packet than last time. But
Thank
there's a
you.
lot going on. So thanks for having me today. There's, like I said, there's just a lot going on, and so I want to highlight some of those things and talk a little bit about really what's challenging these days in higher education. But that first page is just our mission, vision, guiding principles. But I wanted to point out that big number at the bottom, 93%. That's our full-time fall-to-fall retention rate, and that comes from USHE Key State Indicators, and that's right now the highest in the state and for all institutions of higher education. And so that's a really exciting number to have. If you'll skip to that second page, when you get bored at night and you want to read just a little bit, take this packet home with you. I think it's just amazing. Everything I read it when I wake up, so it gets me ready for the day. But other people don't think it's as exciting. And that 93 on that page is not a repeat. It's our graduation rate, which is 25 points higher than our comparison group. And that's a national data point. And so I wish I could come here and say it's over 90 every year. If you get above 70, again, we're 25 points higher than our comparison group. And so that comparison group is countries from all across it's institutions all across the country. And it's a national data clearinghouse, and they look at institutions that are similar in size, similar in the type of demographic that you serve. And so the fact that we can be that much higher is pretty impressive. If you go to the next page, it has the United States on it, says College Reach. We are pulling students from really all over the country, and that's not our main focus. You're going to see on the map at the bottom right there where it shows the United States or the state of Utah, a vast majority of our students come from Iron County. But because of our dual enrollment with SUU, we're pulling students from all over the country and 3 international students. And the exciting thing is that we have really good completion rates, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute too. But last year, 580 students. Completion means they walked away with a certificate. And if you look at individual students, it's about 540. Some students had multiple certificates. An example of that is EMT. Students come in and they want to get their EMT, and then depending on when the cycle happens, they might jump into advanced EMT. So you might walk away with a certificate in 2 different programs. So that's total certificates. Graduates is closer, is about 530, 540. I mentioned on the back page where it says placement, and I think that's really the important part. Higher education a lot of times only talks about the students coming in, the enrollments. Students are coming in at this great amount, and nationally that number's down. We've talked a lot about in higher education the demographic cliff. If you look nationally over the next 10 years, the number of college-age students is less than it's been in a long time, and that goes back to the recession of 07, 08. People stopped having kids for about a 4 or 5 year period. And so those kids are now 18, 19 years old, and they're going to college. So nationally, you're seeing a decrease of about 5 million individuals in that demographic. And Utah, we're seeing that as well. It's a little bit of a lag in Utah. There's about a 3 or 4 year lag before that number starts to go down. But they're talking about a 10-year decrease in college-age students, and then it starts to go back up in about 10 years. So everyone's fighting for people coming in, but I like to focus on the outcomes. Because right now you have institutions across the country where you're seeing graduation rates in the 30%. You're seeing completions in the 40, 50%. So the fact that we're in the 90s for those rates is pretty amazing. And the fact that we're placing them throughout the state of Utah and nationally. So this page, and this is the placement page. Our national accreditation body says every program has to be at 70% or higher, or that program doesn't exist. And that's not normal for our degree-seeking partners in the state of Utah or around the country. And they might have a placement rate of in the teens. It doesn't matter because theirs isn't the post outcome where they're calculated on or where they're benchmarked on. So our accrediting body, which is COE, out of Atlanta. So and this is all of our programs, and as you can see, every one of our programs is above that threshold of 70%. If it hits below 70%, it's a triggered program. You have a year to figure out what's going on and to fix that. If you don't fix that, literally that program just goes away. And then last year we placed 360 of our students in the state of Utah. Next page is the dual enrollment page. It's got a little bit of red on there for SUU Red. And this program's been really running for about 6 years now, and it's still the only one in the state like this. There are some other schools up north, Ogden Weber Tech and Davis Tech, trying to do this with Weber. Dixie Tech and Utah Tech are trying to do some other type of dual enrollment, but everyone's just touched it on the surface. They haven't really dug into it as much as we have with SUU. You can read all those numbers, but the value of credits earned at Southwest Tech that it's saved them this much money. It's saved them $1.7 million had they taken those credits at SUU, which is really exciting. The next page, and it gets a lot into, I'm a data nerd. I love statistics, and I love numbers. So I wanted to show this with you. This one's the Iron County High School participation. So it just shows breaking out all the entities in Iron County and who takes advantage of Southwest Tech. Even though Launch High School is its own thing, and a lot of students kind of focus on that, we have Launch High School students coming over to Southwest Tech, students from Parowan, from Success Academy. Obviously, Canyon View and Cedar High School are a bulk of our students. And so total growth this year, and this is all students, not just high school students, we're up 1.5% membership hours. And that negative, that font, it's hard to tell. It looks like a bow tie. That's the negative. We're down 1.6% in student headcount. And that's us starting to see what we're calling, again, that demographic cliff where everyone's fighting for students. And an example, I have a senior at Cedar High School, and she's gotten a letter from every state except for Alaska from institutions of higher education trying to recruit her. They're not finding their students in the state, and they're like, where are there a lot of kids? Utah. And so they are fighting really hard. So it's gotten just extremely competitive right now. The next page, I like to point this out. This was a NEMCHEMS report. This is a national higher education consulting firm, and they came to the state of Utah a couple of years ago and did a study for the system office. And I just like to point out that this is ranking of post-secondary participation rates by county. And I highlighted Iron County because there are some really good things that we're doing in partnership with the school districts and with higher education. And I highlighted the other three because those are the four counties in which Southwest Tech serves: Kane, Beaver, Iron, and Garfield. And then SUU serves, their service region locally is Beaver, Iron, and Garfield. And of the four that we serve, we're in the top 6 in participation rates. And this is going to go to kind of the funding mechanism that the county helps us with. It's funding high school students that are in need, get their foot in the door, and allow them an opportunity to continue on after they graduate from high school. And funding, even though it's $50,000, it goes. We stretch that and make sure that every student has an opportunity to go to post-secondary after they graduate. The next page is just a quick financial aid overview. As you can see, I told you about those completions, that 580 mark. You can see over the last 5 years, we've seen a steady increase in completions. And because you're seeing fewer people coming in the front door, we're really focusing on them completing. So we might even see our enrollment go down, but our completions go up because we're really focusing on every student that comes into the tech college. We now have over 20 programs, those icons, and then they're listed on the bottom right. But on the final age, this is the end of year for FY24. A bulk of our financial aid comes from FAFSA, federal financial aid, over $1 million, state aid, $196,000, and then institutional aid with an asterisk that includes the county funds that we receive from the county. So in total, $223,000 went out from institutional aid. And besides including the county funds, we get $25,000 from Cedar City Corporation, and then we get some private donations as well that goes into those institutional aid. And so a total of 132 students received aid of over $200,000. And unlike a lot of schools, my daughter's a senior and she goes on to an institution and she puts in her ACT, she puts in her GPA, and she knows exactly how much she's getting. Doesn't matter if she needs it necessarily. If she's it's a merit-based system. And when you have thousands of students coming through the front door, then maybe you have to do it that way. But at Southwest Tech, we have every student come in, and we don't just do it as a matrix. We have them fill out an application. We pull their FAFSA, and there's an SAI number that's their estimated family contribution. We take that, we look at the need, we look at what program they're taking, and we look at the cost. And every scholarship's a different dollar amount. And we base it off of their actual need and what's the gap in funding. If federal financial aid is going to pay for 80% of it, well, we're not going to give them 100% scholarship. And so we stretch those dollars out as much as we can. And the next 3 or 4 pages are it's the STAC, which stands for the Southwest Tech Training Advancement Center. We're doing something really unique at the Tech College. We're going to become the first responder training hub for Southern Utah. We're working with a lot of local agencies. And that first page just talks a little bit about what STAC is. But if you'd go to the page that has all these pictures, these pictures and kind of the master plan, what it is, it's a hub for all things training for first responder, but also there's some industrial training in as well. So hazmat training, there's a trench trainer for trench rescue as well. And we started this at the beginning in the spring of this year. So in the spring of next year, we're hoping to do more of an official ribbon cutting because there's some things in the works, and I want to talk about those. So going from the top down to the bottom is number 1 is our mass casualty training, and that's done. We have a bus crashed into a minivan. Number 2 is our crash rescue. We have a fuselage from Southern Utah University. That's a crash rescue prop. We do have a fire trainer that's in place. Our rubble pile is in place as well. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's rubble, it's cars crashed, it's tunnels that people can crawl through, it's places where you can hide mannequins. And we've already had the Utah National Guard here to do some of their training. We've signed an MOU with them to be an affiliate trainer with them. And we're working on a calendar with them so that they'll come down from the Salt Lake area 3 or 4 times a year to do different trainings at our site. What's in the works right now is number 5, that high angle props. And if you want to flip to a couple pages down, that high angles prop rendering and the design is in the packet as well. What we've done is we've designed that in-house. We have a architect right now looking at it and signing off on it. We have a bid that's gone out, and it's come in right about where we expected. We're having it locally fabricated 100% for about $120,000, and that sounds like a lot, but we went out and got bids from companies that do this regionally and nationally for fire agencies, and it blows my mind what they're charging fire agencies. Our bids were in the $400,000, and we're doing it all fabricated in Iron County for $120,000, and we're getting actually a much better product. We are doing number 6. We're looking for a decommissioned truck for hazmat training, and it's surprising how difficult those are to find and how expensive they are, even if they're decommissioned. But we're looking to do that. Again, our trench trainer is also 100% done. There's a picture on the bottom left of that. And then we're working a couple different grant routes to get a training bay built. And that's what it is. It's a big open bay where we can pull in our fire trucks to do simulations. We can pull them out and have a big open bay for different types of trainings. really a command center for when we get everybody here and when we do our debrief as well. But I'm really excited about that. And then the next page is another prop that we're building. It's called the Urban Response Complex. It's the one that looks like this. It looks like a storefront with 4 different bays, and each bay within it is a different training simulation. So the one that says bank, and it might not be bank, we're looking with sponsors. We're not sure if a bank wants to sponsor something where it looks like this weird opening. That's where we're going to crash a car into the opening of that bay. And when we went around the country, we went to California, we went to Texas, we went to Arizona, looked at all these training facilities. We asked them, what would you do differently? And they said, constantly people are calling us saying, hey, another car crashed into a facility. We want to simulate that. And so we came back, we decided to do that, and literally the next day a car went through the front of a place right here in Cedar City, and it's happened in Salt Lake. When you pay attention to it, it happens a lot. And so that will be one of the bays. One of the bays is going to be more residential. One of the bays is going to be more commercial. And one of the bays is a roof collapse, where you actually have the roof collapsed inside. So you open the door, the roof has come down, but it's still going to be covered on top so you can do trainings throughout the year. And with this, Watson Engineering did the engineering as a donation. Hughes Construction is doing the cement slab as a donation. Ben Barlow is doing the framing as a donation. So we're really stretching our dollars as well as we build out the Stack Center. And just some pictures on the last page, because at the end of the day, we have to remember, why do we do what we do? And we always say this, every meeting we start out with a student story. And one of the most recent student stories, we had a student come to us, and she's in our automation technology program. And she has a mechanical engineering degree. She went to a university for 6 years, and she finished, and she was still like, I just don't know what I want to do. She heard about our program, and she goes, I really want to get more of my hands dirty. So she's in our automation program, which is fixing pretty much any piece of equipment at any manufacturing plant in the county. And she's now come out and said, I really love what I'm doing. I know what I want to do now. And so we get students that come from, and she came from a school from California, and she paid a lot of money for a mechanical engineering. And mechanical engineering is not easy. That was my major at Purdue University for about 2 weeks after I graduated from high school, and I was like, I can't hack this. This is too hard. And so I moved over to marketing. And so it's just really fun to see students come from different backgrounds, different places, and we really help them find their niche and what they want to accomplish, and it's a really, really good start. And just kind of going back to budgets in general, about 85% of our operating budget comes from the state of Utah. The state of Utah supports technical colleges extremely well, and so the difference we make up in tuition we charge very little. High school students, you're talking $20 you can get into any program, and then there's some additional raw materials fees. And a big chunk of the money that the county provides is for those students that come to us and say, I can't even cover this small fee or the fees or the books. And sometimes there's third-party test fees that they're not even our fees, but they're fees that have to be covered. And we don't want to keep these students from completing or getting into college. And this goes back to that one slide. Iron County's at the top of the 29 county list. I think they're ranked third in post-secondary participation. And that's a pat on the back for the county for supporting tech and for supporting higher education in Iron County. And with that, again, there's a ton more I could talk about, but I know we're limited on time.
So Brennan,
yeah.
Mike and I sit on the Intergenerational Poverty Committee.
Okay.
And I think, Southwest Tech is probably one of the bigger tools that committee has.
Yeah.
Could you speak a little bit to kind of how it works for high school kids, and then maybe a little bit with that life skills, what do you call it? The scholarship for folks that are willing to take that life skills course?
Yeah. So there's a couple kind of things in there. There's one, the life skills is called Empower You, and it's a program that we initiated last year, and we took little bits and pieces of all of our programs and put them into more of a life skills piece. And it could be anywhere from budgeting which is not a course at Southwest Tech, but we give them budgeting, we give them a little bit about automotive, we give them a little bit about culinary, and it gives them a broader overview of all things that they could do in life. And then we had a donor that if they completed half of those programs, there was a total of a series of 10, they got a half ride scholarship. If they completed 8 or more, they got a full ride scholarship to any program at Southwest Tech. And so we had students complete that first round of Empower U. We've had now 4 of those students start a full program at Southwest Tech, and other students that are still interested in completing that. And we're just working them on getting them in, the timing of that. And that program was so successful, we're going to run it twice this coming year. And so more information to come on.
That's
on
remarkable.
That. Yep. And then from high school students come in. Again, that fee, the scholarship is they still have to apply for it. It's not just I'm going to hand you money. It's they apply for it and they say what the need is, and it might be the fee, it might be the book, it might be the third-party test, and then we'll scholarship them particularly for whatever need that is. And so it's one of those programs that it still surprises me. I'm like, $20 is not going to keep a kid out of our program. And it does. And so when they can get those covered, when they can get the fees covered, it really drives them. And our high school participation is around 40% of our head count are high school students. And that's a very good thing and a very bad thing when you look at a revenue source, because high school students aren't paying your traditional tuition. So if you went out and said, I'm going to start a business model where 40% of my customer doesn't pay into the revenue, it would not work. So you have to get the state to support you, the county to support you to make that really function. And so we work really closely with the school districts to have a good partnership, have a good schedule that matches and makes a lot of sense. And so anything that we can do to get students in the door is really key to the success. Did I answer? There's a couple kind of questions.
No, that was
in
it.
there.
I just think what you do is so amazing to help with families that are affected by intergenerational poverty. I mean, you might be talking about someone who has, life skills and a good, set of, income possibility that might be the first time in 3 generations.
Yeah.
And being able to break that cycle to kind of escape that is a very big deal for those individually.
Yeah. No,
It's like when you save the starfish. It might not matter, but it does matter to that starfish. Yeah.
Well, and we've created the NAV, which is a student navigation center. We also created a mascot. We're now the Southwest Tech Navigators. We have a bear. The bear's name is Ursa. If you know anything about constellations, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor is the bear. And so the NAV is a place where students can go to get resources. It might be something as simple as I need help with a resume. How do I get on LinkedIn, and pretty much anything that helps the students during school and after school, we do that. And those are types of projects that go unfunded by the legislature. And so we just find pockets or buckets within our budget to do those things. Because really at the end of the day, it's not how many students you can bring in. And we fight that because it is a battle. We call it, I say that the legislature incentivizes our behavior. And if you want to get more money, you have to grow. And sometimes growing is not the right answer. It's taking the students that you have in your region and making sure that there's a positive outcome. And so we're fighting a little bit now with growth versus quality. And I prefer to go the quality route. But the incentive is to grow regardless of what's happening around you.
So with that growth concept, are you at max capacity of how many students you can have?
We're not at max capacity. We're to the point now where we're running out of. When we built our building 10 years ago, we've done enough remodels where we've added multiple programs. We've added 5 programs over the last 10 years without any new buildings. We're to the point now where if we add a program, there's no place to put it. Either based on that placement data I showed you, all of our programs are above placement. They're hitting all their benchmarks. There's not a reason to discontinue a program that's doing well. But we're to the point where we don't have any room to add a program.
There's no more room on
But
that campus?
No more room on campus, but we could add some spots to the capacity of current programs. You can get a little bit with your schedule. You can do more night classes, more evening classes. I call it the lunch issue. Most people they want to eat lunch from 11 to 2. So your capacity is kind of at that. And you're like, when you go in at 3:30, you're like, well, of course you have capacity. I'm like, yeah, but nobody wants to eat lunch at 3:30. And nobody wants to eat dinner at 3:30. So your blocks of where students want to go to school are really full. We just have to change kind of the opinion of people that going to evening school is an okay thing, or going on weekends. Nobody wants to give up that time quite yet. And I think the bigger markets, you look at your UVUs, your SLICs, they have a lot more students in that region that are willing to do evening and weekend courses, where our community is just not there quite yet. We've started some night classes, and they don't fill up. So there's capacity evenings and weekends. But it goes back to the lunch example. No one wants to eat lunch at 3:30. So, okay.
Thank you,
Any other
Brennan.
questions? Yeah,
Great
thank you.
report.
I know,
Appreciate it.
thank you, Brendan.
Thank you.
Super helpful.
All right, commission reports. Ken, you want to go?
Sure. So I guess chronologically, first issues that I've kind of been dealing with over the last 2 weeks is flooding that we had a little bit down in Canara. Had some calls over that, and Rich and Bruce have been really good at handling those and taking care of that. There's some issues up towards Bumblebee where people have either cleared areas or moved ditches, and that created some issues. And with the large amount of water that they received, that created some flooding. And then we had budget hearings, which was like 4 days of Christmas in the last 2 weeks. It was awesome. Everything went really well there. Had a Zoom meeting on Friday. Paul, you were in on that with HB 48. And the question I kept wanting to ask the entire time is, what is this solving? What issue is this really taking care of? And I don't know that they could have answered that, so I didn't pose it. But
Well, that's the Casey Snyder's bill about Louis in the
right, but
they said his phone blew up after he introduced us. Well, yeah, we've got we've got a call. We've got a call
is it tomorrow?
on the 29th. Yes.
So
We've got a Zoom call with Snyder, Representative Snyder, and
maybe that's a question I can
9
pose
o'clock.
tomorrow.
You can
Is
ask that tomorrow.
what exactly is this solving? Because I've yet to find that answer. But
They're just trying to raise money for the state,
yeah,
which is probably what it is.
that kind of seemed like one of those pass the bill and you'll find out what's in it later comment, but was able to participate in the Heritage Festival Parade, which is incredible to see when you go down that parade route. I would love to hear an estimate of how many people are at that, but I would guess it's well over 10,000 people that are packed on Main Street. It's incredible. You get in some of those areas and there's 5 to 10 people deep down Main Street. So, and then also had a concern over a stock trail that had been locked in the Canaraville area, so I've got to address that this week and see what's going on there. That's it.
Okay, Mike.
I'd be remiss not to mention our budget hearings.
Glad you guys did. I don't have to now.
Yeah, it's put it behind us for another year. I just tell people I hate October. October's my worst month. But budget hearings. I attended the ribbon cutting to Johnny Mac's new restaurant on the north end of Cedar. Maria and I attended that together. If you haven't had a chance to go check Johnny Mac's out, it's pretty cool. It's going to be I think it's going to be a real key to bringing people to the north end.
Yeah.
of Main Street in Cedar City.
Heard good reports and tried to go Saturday night, and my son called me and said, "Nope, don't come. There's no way we're getting in here." So,
Yeah, we went. So we were there for the ribbon cutting. My wife and I went last Saturday afternoon. They said it's an hour wait unless you want to sit at the bar. We're like, the bar's good. And they're the most comfortable bar chairs.
I heard that also.
They're probably more comfortable than these chairs. They're really nice. The seating's there is really nice. America 250 committee. I want to put the website out there. Visit cedarcity.com/America 250 is the website to go on and look at the calendar and see all of the America 250.
Will you say that again?
Visit cedarcity.com. So it's the regular email into our tourism, into Maria's office. Visit cedarcity.com/America 250. And that will get you access to the calendar and all of the events going on with America 250.
But local events? Or
Local
is that-
events.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our local calendar and web page for the America 250 celebration. Yes, sir.
May I just tag on to that?
Yeah.
For a quick comment?
I'd love
Sorry
to.
about that.
No.
No, it's not. Scott Phillips is helping do a lot of that for Cedar City as well. And he is on the committee that's helping design the roundabout at the new Canary interchange, Hamilton Ford interchange. And we want that to be a project for the 250 celebration. And I know that Ken had participated in one of those meetings, I think, with the committee, and Brett is kind of heading that up and trying to keep it moving.
Hey, John, will you throw that up there? Will you throw that website up on the thing while Reed's talking?
Yeah, and we wanted to just make sure that the commissioners were aware. There's going to Terry was going to mention in his budget hearing, I think Maria is aware of it, we're going to need funding to do that project. We're essentially, UDOT has designed a roundabout there on the east side of I-15 where it comes off, and they're bringing several roads into it. But we wanted to put some kind of a welcome to Cedar City, welcome to Iron County. It's really the first interchange out of Iron County, on the south end coming in. And do something really nice there. The tribe is participating. We've got a good group together to try to figure out what that could look like and what it could mean as an entrance welcome kind of a thing. So I just wanted to mention that as a project that Iron County could do and be part of, and that we want to have as part of the 250 celebration, and have a logo on that says this is a 250 project, and have it being something meaningful. So if you're interested in that project, you're interested in seeing what happens there, or what it could be, or what it could look like, get with Brett. The committee is continuing to meet and trying to figure out. Trying to get an artist that can give us a conception of what some of the ideas were in some of the earlier meetings, and want to keep that moving forward. So I appreciate that.
Interestingly enough, it's Iron County's 175th birthday next year as well, in conjunction with America's 250. So we probably ought to talk about that. TRT and TRCC grant application presentations. Luckily, I shouldn't say that. Those took place while we were in budget hearings, so I didn't attend those. Dang it. But I did sit down with Maria and reviewed those applications and the recommendations from those committees, and those will be coming to commission before the end of the year. Ken, I had the opportunity to attend the Livestock and Heritage Parade, but I had to MC with KSUB Radio and Chris. That is fun. Every year we pass out chalk. We have sheep drawing contests to the kids. You draw the best sheep, you win $50. It's not bad. We did have a sheep calling contest for the adults, and there was also a $50 prize with the sheep calling contest as well. It's just a lot of fun, and it's a really good way to remember our heritage and to promote that. And interestingly enough, so I talk to a lot of people that are just right there in that little area where I am. Last year we had some folks from Wisconsin that this was their third time they come every year. This year I was with some folks from Salt Lake City that this is their first year attending, but they came down, got an Airbnb, have been eating in our restaurants, and said that they'll be here every year from here on out. And so it really has become a cool draw. It's really good for our community. One thing that I think that Chad left out of his presentation that I wanted to highlight is Dancing with the Community Stars, coming up November 18th. I don't know what they did to get you to participate, because you've been kind of a butthead the last few years.
Got out of it 6 years in a row.
6 years.
My wife was pregnant for a couple of months.
He ran out of excuses. Me being a former grand champion of that event, several years ago, loved to promote that event. But truly, without that event and without the Friends of the Iron County Children's Justice Center, our new facility would not have been possible. Funds that were raised specifically from this event, went into building us a new Children's Justice Center. So I would encourage everyone to attend and donate. It's a great event.
Buy your tickets from me.
Yeah, and if whoever you buy your tickets from, that's points towards them winning. So,
What's the date again and time?
Tuesday the 18th at 7 o'clock.
Oh, I will be in Arizona.
I might see. I'll be at work here, but I'm going to see if I can finagle. See if I can trade that. You call Addie and tell him I need that night off. But no, I truly will. I'll see if I can make it. I'm sure I can. So.
Be good laugh. See me.
No, it's just awesome. It's a fun event. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. About everything I had was mentioned. I took my grandsons to the parade. That's always a highlight. They love that. Of course, they're after candy, but they didn't get run over by a tractor. That was good.
All good things.
Let's see. I met with Ed Defner and Taylor Parkin on the jail after one of our budget meetings for a couple hours. Talked about budgeting and some change orders and different things. And jail's moving right along. And as we've talked in our budget meetings, the timing of that is good. There's a lot of demand in the state for that facility when it's finished, and that's good. And like Ken said, that natural resources call, we've got that call tomorrow, a Zoom call at 9 o'clock. Anybody else that's interested in joining that, I can send them a link. I think I sent that to. Did I send that to you? And
Send it again.
yeah, I'll try to send that out again. But there's just some real concerns. I know George, our emergency manager, is pretty concerned about some of those things. But that's about all I have. I think I know we've got a really short agenda today. Are you two in favor of just keep going without a break, or do you want to have a break?
I'm good.
I have two of the items, and I'm going to go fast.
Yeah. So is that okay with you, Ken?
Yeah,
We just keep
I'm
going.
good.
Yeah,
We
just
we
remind me to go sign Carrie's books, so I get out of my rhythm and I forget them. I'm afraid of her.
Okay. Good. You should be. All right. Well, let's. Can we just keep going, John?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're in charge.
Well, I know, but I didn't know about the recording. and
Oh, no.
That we're good just to keep going. We'll start off in our 10 o'clock meeting as listed on the agenda. It's about 10 after 10. We'll start with public comments. Anybody? Looks like everybody left us. So, Reed, unless you want to talk again, I think the
Reed.
sheriff snuck out. He's. I think we're
Reed, do
good
you
on
have
that.
anything to say? Oh, yeah.
Reed, it's up to you.
I don't even have night money.
You already took 2.5 minutes, so you only get 30 seconds. So, no, it's kidding. All right, we'll go to number 2, presentation from the Division of Wildlife Resources about a proposed land acquisition in Iron County for expansion of Parowan Valley Wildlife Management Area and approval of a letter of support.
Let me.
And I hope we pass it because I already signed it.
She's not. She wants to participate telephonically this morning. Let's see if I can
Kate does? Okay.
get her.
My only issue with this is make sure we have some teeth in it to make them manage it so that it doesn't turn into a worse scenario than what we've got.
Right.
And that's why I'm here, was just to talk about that. I didn't know Kate wasn't going to be here. John, can you actually pull that up on?
Hi, Kate. This is John Whitaker.
Hi.
We
How are you
are well, good. We are just sitting in commission meeting, and are you able to visit with us about your item today?
Yep, I'm ready for you.
Okay. Here, will you hold the phone up to the mic? We'll see if I can do the technical side.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I am here today to talk to you guys about a proposed land acquisition that's in your county in Iron County. By Utah code, we need to come to county commission meetings just to present about these things and let you guys know what's going on. So that's what I'm here to do. This is a 20-acre parcel, and it's adjacent to one of our existing wildlife management areas. So that's Parowan Wildlife Management Area. I don't know if you guys have my presentation, but I have a little map there if you guys wanted to see that, and a couple pictures of the property.
He's pulling that up right now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just a little map just to show you. This piece of property is northwest of Parowan City, up by that big solar farm, if you're familiar with that. And so this piece of property came to us. A private landowner reached out to us. The lady who owned the property lives in Germany, and she passed away. And so the lawyer is helping out by selling off all of her assets and reached out to us. And so we were very interested just because it's adjacent to that land that we already own. If you look at some of these pictures here, it's a very good property for us just in terms of prairie dogs. The Utah prairie dog is a federally threatened species. They actually only occur in southwestern Utah. And this property actually has a very large colony of them. Our property that's just to the side of it also has very large colonies, but they have found even more just on this little 20-acre parcel. And so buying this piece of property for us means that we're increasing some of that habitat connectivity. We're increasing our colony numbers by a lot, and then this also supports other species that rely on those prairie dogs. Some of those species include the endangered black-footed ferret, some burrowing owls, squirrel snakes, little things like that. Also some predators that eat the prairie dogs, so things like badgers, coyotes, and hawks. So we're supporting all of those species there. And this also supports the Prairie Dog Recovery Plan. This was a plan that was approved by U.S. Fish and Wildlife in 1991. It was revised in 2012, and we are slowly working towards it. And once we get colony numbers high enough, eventually they're hoping to delist that Utah prairie dog, which would mean a lot for the county in terms of development and those mitigation fees that have to be paid. So that's what I have for you guys. I am happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Like Ken said, there's a pivot right next door. What's to protect that farmer from undue stress from this? Can you hear that?
So
I heard grass and pivot.
okay, so with the original purchasing of that wildlife management area, the property to the east, there was 0 dogs on that property, was the original documentation of that. The property to the south, there was a limit of 8 dogs on that property. This year, they have invaded both of those properties and created a huge issue. They've consumed I went and measured, it was over 6 acres of corn on the property to the east, and on the property to the south, it's been over 20 years that they just have devastation on their alfalfa crop. Utah Department of Wildlife has not maintained their part of the agreement to keep their dogs on their property. And I get the comeback of, well, we don't have it in our budget. That's unacceptable.
Okay. I am with the lands team, so I am not I help buy and sell the land. So as far as management goes, I'd have to pull in some of that regional staff on there. I know that they had talked about their fencing, but I can certainly go discuss with them, and I can bring you guys in on that if you want, about if that fencing and that containment is not doing well.
They barely put that up in June. The issues started to arise earlier in the year. They put that up. We had a meeting on June 11th, and then they put up that fencing.
Okay.
So there was no,
And there hasn't been any improvement since then?
well, weather, wind, animals start to knock down that fence, and it hasn't been maintained.
Okay.
And we can't turn a blind eye to
It
this.
seems like we might need to revise a letter with some conditions, that if there were 0 dogs on those properties, those producers' properties before, they have a right to remove them now.
And that's the issue. The Division of Wildlife, up to that point on June 11th, kind of turned a blind eye to it. Well, if that producer went out there and started shooting prairie dogs, they would immediately call law enforcement. But just this blind eye attitude of, well, we can't do anything about it, it's not sustainable.
That makes total sense to me. So I will see what I can do. You are welcome. I think that's a great idea to maybe put some conditions and stuff in that letter. And I will definitely go back and have a meeting and talk to the regional staff about that as well. It's hard for me to know all of this stuff going on when I work in Salt Lake. So I appreciate you
Right.
guys.
Thank you. We've got a comment here in the audience with Reed Erickson.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Reed.
I wanted to essentially reiterate what Ken said and emphasize the importance of establishing now with this new property, it establishes a border that would allow for the 0 baseline survey to be reestablished, or to reemphasize or recognize that there was a survey, even though the same property was adjacent further south, it wasn't adjacent here. And so the baseline survey would have gone around the Dally property.
Right.
And now the baseline survey needs to be extended to this property on the border that now would be the new border between what they acquire and the pivot to the east.
Leon Robinson Farm. That's
so-
that property. It's Leon Robinson.
Leon
Farm,
Robinson owns the property, and
leased by Halterman's.
Mark is
Sam.
running it. But what I wanted to emphasize was that now that baseline survey be established on the new boundary line between their new property, if they acquire this, and the pivot, rather than around the boundary where it was established previously. And so that be reestablished as what the previous baseline survey was, not establishing a new baseline survey based on the new counts. And I think that's
Right.
an important distinction that we make in the letter of
Yeah.
support, is that the baseline survey that was established previously be extended to this new boundary.
Correct.
And that they put a better permanent fence
Well,
in there.
and
The
the-
fence to the north of this property has been much better. It's a chain link with a
solar
visual
farm.
barrier against it, and that has helped quite a bit keep the dogs out of to the north, out of the solar farm. And even though there have been a few get in there, they've been able to manage those a lot better. But where they don't have that kind of fence on the east boundary of this property, that's what needs to be established along that east
east or
boundary.
Well, and it seems like the burden of removal and the costs associated with it should be borne by the state.
Yeah, and that's what we need to put in the letter,
Can we revise that
and
letter
establishing the baseline survey to be extended to this new boundary instead of what would have gone around the Dally property
Reed,
now.
do you recommend anything besides changing the wording on the letter? Should the commissioners take any stronger action than that?
Well, I think it would be a good thing to just send a letter specific to DWR saying that this property hasn't been maintained well as a boundary, and that needs to be better
I mean, do we need
honor their
insist on a prairie dog fence? Do we-
Yeah,
And-
with a fence.
Just another option for you guys too.
The second
With
letter, I
other
think.
counties, the one we've had some issues. The other option is I can bring some regional staff to your next meeting and we can have a bigger discussion about it if that would be good for you guys. And then we can have some more concrete discussions if you want, or if you're happy to revise that letter, that works as well. Just giving you guys some more options.
Yeah, I think both. DWR has been good, and they've had a lot of personnel change since this property was originally acquired. And I don't know that the new people, they know that it exists, but I don't know that they know what the conditions were as it was established. And some of that I think would be good to revisit.
Hey, Reed, remember the Allard Ranch?
Sure.
What was was that purchased as a conservation easement? What was
The second mound property we're
Yeah.
talking about, that's just south of Allard Ranch.
yeah.
That is a property that was acquired through a grant through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Right.
That the Nature Conservancy helped acquire.
Right.
And deeded the property to the county. So the county actually owns that property, and there's a conservation easement held by the Nature Conservancy.
So in part of the agreement, they had zero prairie dog count on all of the Allard.
Established a zero prairie dog.
They had
base.
zero. So if prairie dogs did migrate into the private property, that agreement allowed for them to be removed.
That's correct.
And
that's what was established here originally, and now needs to be extended to this new boundary,
okay.
is that zero baseline survey.
So I would like to see if prairie dogs invade over into the agricultural land, I'd like to see some kind of wording that allows the property owner to remove those dogs without any penalty.
Well, I'm saying make the state remove them.
Well, I agree with let the state remove them, but if they need to go out there
Right.
and shoot
Yeah.
dogs to
Right
protect
now.
To do
their-
both.
to protect their land,
And they're going to come back with, well, they're federally protected. We can't
So-
authorize that.
If I can interject, when they put the prairie dog fencing around the Parowan Airport, initially DWR went in and trapped the existing prairie dogs out of there to the 70% rate. Once they were below 70%, then they provided me as the police chief at that time of Parowan City with a federal letter that gave me permission to go down and shoot any other prairie dogs that were there to get rid of them, which, as far as I know, that letter is still in effect and in place. The same thing should be true with these properties. If the prairie dog fencing is put in place, then DWR should have the responsibility of going in and trapping those prairie dogs off of those private properties and relocating them. When they can no longer trap them, then they should issue a federal letter to the property owner to be able to remove the rest through shooting them.
And that does exist, but it's date specific. And that becomes an issue too.
Then they need to remove the date off of
Yeah.
it, because we had no date on
Yeah.
ours for Parowan Airport. We could shoot them anytime.
So I suggest for today's purposes that I'll prepare a draft based on what we've talked about today, but let's really scrutinize that before we submit it.
I don't think it'd hurt to have some people come to our meeting.
No, that's
No.
a good idea.
That needs to happen.
But I think we should use maybe as strong a language as possible on the letter.
Yep. Any other comments?
Dog fencing requirement is part of the letter,
Okay.
because that's what they put up is not a prairie dog fence,
Yeah.
not a permanent prairie dog fence.
Kate, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I really appreciate your guys' feedback. Sometimes we go to county commission meetings and we get a sign off, which we love, but I really appreciate when I get to hear the real nitty gritty, especially working in Salt Lake, and I get to go visit these properties, but I don't get to hear that long history. So I really appreciate hearing all of this, and I will definitely talk with our region staff, and we are happy to come back to the next commission meeting or whenever works for you guys. We're hoping to close on this property the beginning of December, so we have about the month of November to work through this if we can. So
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
thank you so much.
So I'll entertain a
table
motion
that.
to table it
I don't
until we
think-
get a new letter.
You want to,
There wasn't anything for a
It wasn't
approval, was there?
only the letter. I mean, so do you want to? Do you want me
Oh.
to change the wording on that and move forward with that, or just want to just flat out table it for now?
Well, it sounds like from according to Reed, we need true prairie dog fencing, so they
Yeah.
can't just burrow underneath. First of all, like
Right.
the airport where they bury it, what is it, 18 inches deep, and the dogs
Like 3 feet.
or is it 3 feet?
4 or 5 feet deep.
Yeah, it's
It's
I
much
got-
more-
tell some of that, but
yeah.
but anyway,
It's got to be sustainable.
we need the true prairie dog fencing. We need the state to pay for mitigation costs to remove them, and also a letter. Without a date that's saying that the producers have a right to take.
Yeah, without the limitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least those
Does that
three
sound
things.
right?
Yeah, and I mean, if you want, I can work on a draft of that, or if you want to, I can work on a draft and we can try and bring it back on the first meeting in November. I don't know how urgent.
Well, it closes 1st of December.
So she seemed to be in favor of coming to the next commission meeting and presenting there. So let's shoot for that.
All right, I'll try and get a draft prepared and send it around for y'all to review. Make sure I don't miss anything. Make sure the wording is sufficiently strong.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, we'll go to agenda item number 3, discussion on possible approval of a contractor for professional services with Watson Engineering for materials and special inspection services in support of Iron County Jail construction. John.
Okay. In fact, Sam, I'm going to let you maybe speak to this a little bit more. Sam and Tim had a little bit of back and forth. This was the contract for professional services for special inspection for the jail. Tim has been doing it kind of on an on-call basis, and we wanted to formalize that. And maybe Sam.
Yeah, no, I reviewed Tim's proposed contract. It's good. It had some boilerplate language that we wanted to add some other provisions to. I don't know if I made it into the packet with the addendum, but Tim said he would sign the addendum. It addresses indemnification, which as the county, we're self-insured, so it's not that we can indemnify anybody unless they fall under statute. And then they've added us as an insured on their policy, which not only streamlines any claims that we may have, but also is fairly cost effective for adding that additional layer of comfort if anything does go wrong. But Tim's taken good care of us and was kind enough to work with me on this addendum and got us that contract. So I would encourage the commission to sign off unless you have a specific
I spoke
question.
to Tim called me, and I asked him to add that additionally insured to add the county to that. So.
You'll note, if you'll scroll down, John, to number 2, in discussing it with Tim, toward the bottom there, it just says the client agrees to reimburse Watson for the cost of having the additional insured endorsement. My understanding is that's fairly nominal, but is subject to your final approval. So you can sign this, and then if we hear a number that is shocking to the conscience, then you can have that removed. But ultimately, I think I think it'll work out. We'll move forward and get that additional insured endorsement.
In fact, I have a little more information on that. First of all, Tim has already sent that.
Oh, excellent.
He's already gotten that from his insurer, and it will be no additional cost to us. In context, there was a much larger project that Tim is working on that that customer wanted a similar indemnification, and I think their total was going to be like $20,000 for the additional premiums. But when we discussed that Tim has a $1 million policy with another $1 million umbrella, and we'd kind of talked about the $2 million in the context of not only Layton, but also Babcock, our contractor, and our architect. And so the liability in a situation where there might be a claim, we felt like $2 million was a good number. And because that's really essentially what he already has, it just required Tim to get a COI with us listed as additional insured, which he's already provided. So, and you know, Tim has been great to work with. I know we kind of got this finalized toward the end of last week, and I feel good about it as well.
Great.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion. If there's no more discussion.
I'd make a motion to approve of a contract for professional services with Watson Engineering for materials and special inspection services in support of Iron County Jail construction.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 4, review of requirements under UCA 63A-19, INCL Utah Government Data Privacy Act, presentation of privacy practices self-evaluation. Also possible designation of a chief administrative privacy officer. John, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, sorry, I'm just doing some technical stuff here for a quick sec.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, this is new requirements for governmental entities. We have met, Sam and Jen and I, we've severally had training at some of our meetings on this, and we've kind of developed a plan to move forward. We are keeping the plan simple. So this is privacy for governmental entities. Like Paul read, it's under UCA 63A. So HB 491 from 2024 requires government entities to do the following things, and I am very much simplifying, but we need to initiate a privacy program by December 31st. We need to designate a chief administrative officer for privacy. The CAO appoints records officers. There must be GRAMA training, privacy awareness training. Those are the big ones that we'll probably move on next. There's the planning and assessment phase, so we'll identify, draft, and formalize our practices. This will be down the road, but we will do a maturity assessment in terms of our privacy policies and procedures, and we'll identify and prioritize strategies, and that's going to be an ongoing one. We'll implement under the execution phase, we'll implement prioritized strategies, and we'll conduct privacy impact assessments. That sounds like a lot, but we will keep this simple. Another thing I think to keep in mind is one observation that Sam, Jen, and I all made was these guys don't have all their ducks all the way in a row yet. So
Of this bill.
Yeah.
Telling you to get yours in a row, and
Correct.
It's not, it sounds like HB 50 or 48.
So we're gonna do what's required. We're gonna keep it simple, and I think the thrust behind it, maybe unlike HB 48, I think there is value in it. In fact, kind of thought that was good. We are here. I think the thrust behind it isn't terrible. I think first of all, somebody had some good sketching skills showing the old computers and the new computers. But there's been an evolution of information. It didn't matter as much until it did, and now it's very key. We're very zealous to guard information that we collect and keep, even that we collect and only temporarily keep. We're still under GRAMA. There's the Internet Protection Privacy Act, and basically we are here on the GDPA. You can see Utah is kind of at the forefront of trying to protect citizens' privacy, and we see issues with this all the time, whether it be public or private entities leaking information. There's a private side in the Utah law for protection of individuals' privacy. They identified 29 practices, and you can see that on the right side here, and then on the left side, the number of practices required by state. Utah, even more than California or West Virginia or Minnesota, has more of those. And as in most things, the rubber hits the road here at the local level. And so we're going to endeavor to do it in a way that doesn't cost the taxpayers more money, but that we can protect, folks' privacy. this is a chart that the state has prepared. It kind of goes along with those different phases. We're here in the yellow phase. One of the first things you're supposed to do is designate a CAO. We have a records officer, that is me. The training and certification, I think one of the things that this program requires is that we do a more thorough job of that. There is the statewide privacy training. That's an online training that we'll begin to work on. The privacy program report, this is kind of a very beginning report of where we are. And you can tell the further down you go, the more refined we get. Record series, creation and maintenance. We have to identify which records, what might be at risk, where we collect things like social security numbers or credit cards or, driver's license numbers, those kind of things. What records do we have and what is the risk? Record and series designation and classification. They have lots of helps for this as we move forward. A lot of this will happen and we'll report back to you. Anyway, all those, I won't read them all, but over here on the right-hand side, you can see there's kind of 6 levels of kind of ranking on how we're doing. It's either non-existent, ad hoc, defined, consistently implemented, managed, or optimized. We are at 0, 1, or 2 on most of ours. So today we're going to talk about a CAO designation. We have a records officer appointment. Again, that's me. We are probably at the ad hoc level for records officer training and certification. Statewide privacy training is non-existent as of yet. Privacy program report is also, this is an ad hoc privacy program report today. We'll make a more defined one as we go and onward. Many of those are far more refined. Some of these things we have been doing ad hoc with Jen and with Jared and myself, with department heads, doing like inventorying issues. But what we will do is move toward more defined, consistently implemented, managed, and hopefully we can get to where we're optimized. But we also don't want to waste a bunch of county resources if it's unnecessary. So we're gonna play it slow. We're gonna do what we can to protect privacy. This framework is nice because it gives us something to it gives us some benchmarks to shoot toward. And the main requirement that we have now is that we begin by December 31st. So we're well ahead of schedule. I'll probably get you another report at the first of the year. So again, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to define roles. We're going to measure. We're going to implement, prioritize strategies. They have a bunch of other training, where you kind of keep refining it, and we will eventually get to that. But right now we're at the beginning stages. So, as Ferris Bueller says,
Still here? Go home.
Go home. I think I would defer to Sam and Jen on this, but it probably makes the most sense for myself to be the CAO because I also have to do the GRAMA stuff as well. Sam?
That's what's in keeping with other counties that are listing their CAO. It has been the clerk across other counties. So I would agree, John, and it makes sense. So
I don't have enough to do. No, I think we can take care of this. It actually meshes fairly well with GRAMA. There's kind of the interplay between information that we release and information that we should not release. And so defining roles and responsibilities, data sets, all those kind of things are positive.
And I would think eventually we're going to optimize this process to a point that you have sub-records officers that you can rely on to assist you in the process where you're just kind of the overall umbrella. Yeah. So.
And then that's actually one of the earlier stages is to get those folks identified and trained. And that's actually one of my goals is to have that part done by the end of the year. And then we can start taking a deeper dive into some of the others. So that's all I have. Any questions?
No.
Super exciting.
I would move to designate John Whitaker as the Chief Administrative Privacy Officer.
I've never been more honored in my life.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Gonna get you some kind of a crown or something. I don't know, some kind of a new desk nameplate or something.
I will go to Burger King and get myself one. How's that? Just as long as I don't get pulled over by that one guy we were talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go to Chick-fil-A on campus and knowing that he's there.
All right, personnel.
All right, pretty easy today. So in the Sheriff's Office Corrections, Brittany Hofdahl has completed all tasks and requirements to receive a promotion from a full-time Deputy 1 to a full-time Deputy 2 position, beginning 10/26 of 2025. And then Sheriff's Office Patrol, Sean Costin was selected from the most recent selection process to fill a vacant part-time Deputy Bailiff position effective 10/27/2025.
Okay, any questions?
Nope. Make a motion to approve the personnel changes as listed in the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any boards we can talk about?
I don't have any.
Did we get we did. The one, last time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember the name, but yes.
I know Luke wants to meet with us for a minute after the meeting.
Okay.
If there's nothing else with that, no closed session today, John?
Wow.
Chair declares this meeting